welcome to another episode of Kill James Bond. I am November Kelly. I am joined, as always, by my friends Abigail Thorne and Devon.
Hello.
I'm walking here.
And we are joined by our guest, senior New York City correspondent, co-mayor of No Gods, No Mayors, cartoonist, author of Boys Weekend and the forthcoming Simplicity, Mattie Lubchansky.
I'm sitting here. How's it going?
Going very well.
Sexy and the city.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking out at a beautiful New York day just before a horrible winter storm hits. It's nice for now.
And we've invited you on to talk about one of the most New York City films of all time.
That's right.
And one that I think is going to be very important for robbery season. It's Dog Day Afternoon.
That's right, baby. We're still in the 70s.
We're in the 70s.
In the safe zone.
We got Pacino. We got John Cazale out of The Godfather.
Yeah, we fucking do an incredible job.
One of the most alarming hairlines of all time.
Oh, Sal? That guy?
Yeah,
Sal, yeah.
John Cazale, yeah.
I didn't know which actor you meant, but as soon as you said hairline, I'm like, oh, that guy? Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
He's got like the most heated careers of all time, and then he died very young.
It's a great show.
Incredible, yeah.
So if you may have heard of bits of Dog Day Afternoon, you may have heard of like the Attica bit. We'll get there. But we begin with a title screen that says, "What you're about to see is true." It isn't. It's kind of.
Yeah. This basically happened.
They didn't get the neighborhood right, which is funny to me.
It's like like one of my favorite credits in any movie is at the end of this, where it says that it's based on a magazine article. And I think that gives you the kind of tenor of what we're dealing with here.
Yes.
But it is a very like based on a true story in air quotes type of movie. Right. And so it's 1972. We're in New York City. It's September. It's hot.
There's trash in the streets. New York looks like shit.
Yeah, that'll continue for 50 more years.
Half of all the CO2 in the atmosphere today has not yet been released. Oceans are now battlefields.
There is like a solid 150% of the biomass still available in the natural kingdom.
Everything is so much measurably better apart from murder rate and lead exposure. And you see some real like street photography.
I wonder if those two are linked.
Probably not. I got some real freakonomics statistics for you. My notes say in terms of like seeing trash in the streets, my note says alarming dog nipples because we do get a weirdly long hold on a shot.
Is that your Mad Max name?
Oh yeah, I've got like a leather breastplate that's got like 6 nipples down it. Yeah.
It's tough to put those in, you know. That's some real like leather work right there. That's someone who's putting the effort in to make that curious. Now I'm curious what you guys thought about this movie.
Outside a bank in Brooklyn, and Al Pacino is here, and he's about 5 years old.
Yeah.
This is premium early 70s Al Pacino. This is good stuff.
The USDA grade A Pacino. Yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable lusting after because I'm like, are you too young for me? Like, how old is Pacino in this? Like, he looks about 19.
He's about 34 in this, I think. 35.
Wow.
You're thinking about this retrospectively from all of the like 50s, 60s, 70s Pacino you've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like retrospectively like, oh, he's like 18 or whatever, 35-year-old man.
35-year-old man.
But so
he just has the countenance of a child.
Like this is after 2 Godfathers and a Serpico. So
this
he's
is
like
after those?
This is the year after Godfather Part 2, which also, you know, him and John Cazale and
drop the skincare routine, like seriously.
Unbelievable.
But so outside a small bank branch in Brooklyn. Pacino, John Cazale, and a third dipshit are in a parked car about to rob a bank. And it's closing time. It's like early evening. You see the security guards outside taking the big flag, the mandatory American flag, down from the outside of the bank.
You want 3. If you're doing a bank robbery, you want 3 hosts, you know, because then if like the conversation dies down, someone else can come in.
Plus you have a mix of different personality dynamics. It allows one of you to embrace more of a kind of a Wayne Grow type role, which really spices things up, drives the plot along.
Yeah.
Which one of you 3 is the Stevie? This is the question.
If I drop out about 10 minutes in, then we'll find out. But
if you're sitting in a car waiting to do a bank robbery and you can't tell who the Stevie is, you're the Stevie.
You're the Stevie. All right.
Also, if you're sitting in a car and you're waiting to do a bank robbery, maybe turn off the podcast.
No, maybe don't. I want to I hear from people who like listen at work and stuff, and I'm like, if your work is bank robbery, that's kind of cool.
You better not be listening to this at work.
You're putting the gun on a bank teller, and you're like holding one finger up to indicate that you've got us on the AirPods, and you need them to like be quiet for a second, because we're doing a bit.
Yeah, they're doing a really good riff right now. Give me a moment.
So all three of them head inside the bank. Al Pacino has a flower box, and we're like, that obviously has a gun in it.
This is classic. They do it separately, right? They all go in like a couple of minutes apart.
You'll note, by the way, no heist music. There's no like kind of like creeping heist music. No soundtrack whatsoever at this point. Just dead silence.
Yeah.
And the sound of like the like money counting machine running in the bank as they all go in there.
And Sal, who's the first one in, who has an alarming hairline, sits down opposite the bank manager, pulls a gun on him, and is just like, just be cool. Don't react.
Just keep talking.
Just keep talking on the phone. Don't worry about it. And at this point, no one in the rest of the bank has realized that this is happening. And the third guy, Stevie, says to Al Pacino, just in front of everybody, he's like, I can't rob this bank. It's crazy.
I can't do this. And then fucking Al Pacino, who's playing a guy called Sonny in this movie, is like, what the fuck do you mean? We've already started.
He's already taken the gun out.
Sotto voce, like we're already robbing the bank. You got to.
Bro, you're robbing this bank right now.
Yeah, the third guy we're with is sitting over there with a gun the size of a like a full steamer trunk. Like,
I don't know how to tell you this, but we're rocking and rolling as we speak.
The hat has dropped. Like you gotta, and so as he like Sonny Pacino pulls the gun, his like the rifle that he's brought out of this box, and he fumbles it twice in succession. He looks fucking terrified. Al Pacino's style of acting is perfect for this because he has eyes the size of dinner plates, and he is just like terrified by everything that he's doing.
This is the point at which I realized this is a comedy, because I went into this completely blind, and watching Al Pacino try and get a rifle out of a flower case that's stuck to it with ribbon, I was just like, oh, this is fucking hilarious. Yes. It's like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern rob a bank.
It's so fucking funny. Yeah.
It's a huge contribution to this canon that I'm developing of big fucking idiot cinema. Like, if you contrast this with Heat, right? If you contrast that with, you have the music, everybody's going in, it's all very cool. He jumps on the desk. We're here for, the bank's money, not your money. Compared to Al Pacino fumbling a rifle out of a bag, almost dropping it a couple of times, sweating buckets, and then as he goes, all right, this is a robbery, Stevie, the third guy they've brought along, goes, actually, I have anxiety.
Yeah, he goes, I can't do this. And fucking Al Pacino is just there with a gun like, what the fuck do you mean you can't do this?
This is in front of everyone.
Brother?
They've all got their hands up. He's like, I can't do this, man.
I'm an introvert, and I'm out of charge, and I have to go.
I don't have
stay
spoons.
Home for a little bit.
Al Pacino's like, all right, fine, let him out. He's just pointing at the guy with the keys. He's like, can you let my fucking third bank robber out of here?
He orders the security guard to let the third bank robber leave, and he leaves. He's like, I'm really sorry, man. He's like, just get the fuck out. He comes back, and he's like, there's a girl hiding under the desk. I saw through the window. He's like, what do you want? Okay, fine, thank you. Like,
the central point of all of this comedy is there's like an airlock, like not a literal one, but like there's two locked doors in sequence in their own boxed up bit to get into the bank, and the security guard has the keys. Pacino's making him like lock and unlock it, and then he finally takes the keys from him. And as Stevie is leaving, he's like, can I take the car? And it's like, no, you can't take the fucking
We need the
getaway
fucking car.
Yeah.
Please take the subway. We need the car, man.
Yeah. Nova, did you just refer to a vestibule as an airlock?
Yeah, it's sort of like an airlock. Yeah, it's an airlock.
Okay. Strictly speaking, this is a Sally port, if you want me to be really specific about it.
I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
okay, and we will be calling it the Sally port from
now on.
We will indeed, yeah. Confusing you, Sally, the listener.
It's the port that you sally forth from. It's the prison.
They try and block out all of the CCTV cameras with like paint spray paint. And
after they've been there for 10 minutes already,
yeah.
like, oh, the camera's also. We should do that.
Pacino can't, because he's a short guy.
It's too small.
He can't reach one of the cameras, and you get a long shot of him jumping to try and reach the camera before he gets a chair to stand on.
Oh, this is all fully played out. Like, it's not tense and quick because you just like shit, and then he like runs and grabs a chair, like drags it across. It's so
it's almost entirely like uncut, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just him. Like, oh god, I've started the situation. I've walked in here with the gun, and now I have to do a bunch of shit.
To the point of like dipshit cinema. This is like it's like a new Hollywood cinema verite Coen Brothers movie, basically, right? Like it's just very like it's shot a little more like we're in it, like we've established that we're in New York, right? Like with the street photography and stuff, but it is like Coen style dipshits running around, which is really beautiful to me.
So they force the manager to open the vault for them. And then
there's a few things here that indicate that Sonny specifically, while being an idiot, is not stupid in the sense that like he knows about some bank security measures. The manager tries to use a key that will like lock the vault and set off the alarm instead of the real one, and he catches it. He catches that there's like bait, like cash in the registers as well later. But the whole time he's kind of like threatening them with this gun in a really ambivalent way. He says at one point, I'm a Catholic and I don't want to hurt anybody, while keeping them all at gunpoint.
But they get in the vault and there's no fucking money in it.
There's no fucking money. He's arrived just after cash pickup.
There's $1,100 in the vault. They're like, they emptied it this morning. And he's like, what? No.
Yeah, it was supposed to be full of cash. Like, so they pivot, right, to we're going to take all the money that's in the registers. We're going to stop them from setting off any of the like silent alarms or whatever. We're going to take the $1,000 in the vault and we're going to run, right? And so they, as they're doing this, they're trying to like herd the hostages into the vault, and they're all being extremely uncooperative in the sense of not resistant, but just like, oh, you can't do this to me. I got a terrible fear of being locked in vaults.
This is the New York spirit. I'm going to be very direct with you and maybe annoying.
Also, one of the ladies, the kind of head teller, is just like, I have to go to the bathroom, and he's like, fine, okay, fine. How many people need to go to the bathroom? Like 3 people. Where he's like, fuck, okay, fine.
They go to the bathroom and they find out there's another broad in there. Just like, oh shit! It's just getting surprised at every fucking turn here.
Yeah,
really good.
So they herd all the hostages into the vault, and then the phone rings, and the manager answers it, and he's like, Al Pacino, it's for you.
The fucking like the whole time Al Pacino has been like, I'm going to leave the bank. I'm about to get out of the bank. This is fine. I've just picked up all of the cash. All right. I know what the alarms are.
Yeah.
Okay. Like leave one note in, take it out so it doesn't like set off the alarms.
I've made $8,000 in 2025 money, and I'm
and then the second is like, the call is for you. You just see all of the color drain out of his face, and it's like, oh god, I'm in a situation now.
I thought it was going to be Stevie being like, I've left my keys or something, but it's not. It's a cop. It's a detective who's like, his line is, what are you doing?
Just like the spotlight being turned on you in social anxiety terms, and the cops are just like, you are the most in trouble anyone has ever been. We got 50 billion cops out here, and
every cop is outside.
They're like, we see them rolling
asexually. It's like the whole building is surrounded already.
We got him undergoing mitosis out here. We got him undergoing meiosis out here.
The staff criticized him. They go, didn't you have a plan? And he's like, shut up, I had a plan. Right, it's a hostage situation now. Nobody come near the bank or we start killing people.
The bit where the hostages are like heckling him while he's on the phone.
One of the hostages, her husband calls, and she's like, I'm being held hostage. And she says, as Al Pacino's like trying to get a grip of the situation, she's like, he wants to know what time he'll be done.
That's right. Right, not just any hostage. That's young Carol Kane.
Really? Absolutely, Carol Kane, baby.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets the fucking call, and like he gets this call, and he just like picks up the phone. And he's just like, "All right, listen, we're gonna start throwing bodies out the front door if you don't cooperate." And then there's just like a long pause where he's on the phone. He's like, "Who's Jenny here? Who is Jenny?"
Yeah, it's your husband.
It's your husband.
He wants to know when you'll be done with hostage situation.
It's just so fucking fun. Yeah, the bank manager, who is this like severe older lady, like middle-aged lady called Sylvia. She's played by Penelope Allen. Does a phenomenal job.
She's
she's the head teller. Yeah.
It's just like, what? Didn't you have a plan? And he's like, no, I had a fucking plan. Like they were supposed to deliver money, not take it away. I had bad info.
She sounds almost like concerned for him.
Yeah.
She's like, you really fucked this up, man. Like, we all were rooting for you to rob the bank.
I genuinely believe that if you tried to rob a New York City bank, this is how it would go down. Where they're all just like, what are you, stupid, man?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't fucking think about this?
The key point here is that Pacino is already the most stressed man in the world going into the bank, and every single little thing has been another straw added. Like, and so he finally gets the call from the cop again, and he's like, all right, now it's a hostage situation. We're gonna start throwing people out. We're gonna start throwing bodies out the front door. And you see the hostages get a little like look off of this, and after he gets off the phone, he's like, no, I'm not gonna start throwing bodies out the door. But Sal takes him aside and is like, I heard what you said about the throwing bodies out of the door plan, and I want you to know I am 100% on board with it.
Yeah, really good. Because he like pulls me aside. He's like, hey, did you mean what you said about throwing bodies out the front door?
Yeah.
And you're like, they're like, oh, no, Ben, 100%. No, I'm not going to do that. But it's like, because I just want you to know, I'm ready to do it right now. It's like, oh, I see. Suddenly I have to like emotionally manage my co-hosts as well, like my fucking co-bank robber.
It's more stress, right? It's the most stressful thing you could say at this moment is like, I will absolutely start killing people.
Man, I'm Protestant. I will kill anyone.
Yeah.
I'm Episcopal. All these motherfuckers mean nothing to me.
I just got here from Summer Isle. I'm ready to kill. I will do it now.
So meanwhile, outside, like 15 million more cops are arriving a second. They're like setting up barriers. Yeah, absolutely. They've got like marksmen on every roof. There's like buses full of them rolling up.
The FBI are here. The press are here too. So Al Pacino and the bank manager go to the back door to block it off, and they have this little chat as they're moving this big like cabinet in front of the door. And Al Pacino's like, yeah, well, we'll get out of here. We'll take somebody hostage so the cops don't give us any shit. He said, don't worry, it's not going to be you. I like you. You're cool. We'll take a married woman with us because cops won't shoot a married woman because of what and he says, did you see what happened in Attica?
Yes.
Now, can someone tell me what this is? Because I picked it up from context clues, but like, what happened in Attica?
This was a prison uprising in a New York State prison.
Crucially,
in Attica, where like they rioted and like overthrew the guards and like captured part of the prison, and actually like ran it as a kind of like anarchist like collective for a bit until the NYPD and the National Guard and like every other cop in New York State came in and just killed indiscriminately, and as Al Pacino says, killed like 20 people, whether they were involved or not.
Yeah, killing a bunch of prison guards also.
Yeah, this was very recent as well, because this was in like 1971, and the event that this is based off of, the true story that this was based off of, was in 72. So this was like very, very recent.
And as bad as American prisons are now still, they were worse at the time. It was actually kind of like a landmark occurrence in like the prisoners' rights movement. Yeah, direct action gets the good people.
They might kill you, but it'll help.
They will. But
when he's talking to the bank manager, he's like, I know you have bank insurance, like the guy from Heat. The cops don't give a fuck. They will kill all of us, right? Like it's real like Russian special forces hostage rescue out here. Like if they come in, everybody's getting killed, not by me, right?
So at this point, Howard the security guard has an asthma attack. And the detective outside is just like, can you give us one hostage as a show of good faith? And Al Pacino's obviously, well, okay, cool. Well, we'll send Howard out because he obviously needs some medical attention.
Yeah, it's really good. He gets off the phone. He's like, we're going to send one hostage out. And he just looks over at Howard and goes, him, right? And everyone's like, yeah. Like everyone in the bank is like, obviously him, brother. Yeah.
Crucially, I have a what I can only refer to as a hooting attack when I see who the detective outside is, when it is Charles Durning, Doc Hopper, and Pappy O'Daniel himself.
Playing a guy called Moretti
My fucking
in this.
dude. Yeah.
He is so fucking good in this. There's so many scenes of just him and Al Pacino yelling at each other back and forth. Everyone is so good.
Funny. You get the sense, right, that he's been given this job because he's the only cop in the NYPD who is able to like move the order of the task, shoot this guy down one in the queue of actions, right? Like,
yes.
Supplanted by yell at him with a megaphone.
Yeah, he's every other cop is like primed to kill, and this guy is only like 99.9% primed to kill, and so he gets the job of hostage negotiator. There's also this little conversation with the manager when they see the guards having an asthma attack, where where Sonny says he's got asthma, and they make him a guard, and the manager just goes, they sent him to guard school. So this is. This is great guard, right? That really established, because he's not even armed. He doesn't have a gun.
Yeah, but like he doesn't even have a gun, and the bank manager's just like, yeah, man, he just like fucking lets the flag up every morning and folds it up at the end and locks the door. Like,
he makes $105 of like a week doing this as well, which is like,
it's nothing. It's a nothing job.
Yeah. So
and when they bundle, so Al Pacino and the head teller bundle Howard the guard out the front door to give him to the cops, and the cops try and arrest Howard because he's black
instantly. Yeah.
And Al Pacino and the head teller have to go, no, he's with us.
Yeah,
he's
hold on,
not
he's
a bank
a hostage.
Robber. He needs a medical. What are you doing? And she tells the cops off in front of the crowd, who by this point are forming.
Yeah, Pacino is like he's like hanging out of the Sally port. He's got the head teller like around the waist, and she's leaning out to yell at the cops as all of the cops yell at each other, and Moretti is yelling at them. And it's just this beautiful little like tableau of
New York City excellence is what this is.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And Moretti tells him, like, come and look at the situation here. We've got 250 cops, snipers in every room. Give up, you'll be out in 1 year. And he has this argument with Al Pacino in front of everyone. And Pacino's like, no, that's bullshit. You're lying to me. They've got me on kidnapping. They've got me on armed robbery.
Yeah, because he tries to give him the like kind of soft sell of you'll be out in a year, you know. And Pacino just says, kiss me, man. And he says, and he says, what? Like, he said, when I'm being fucked, I like to be kissed a lot.
Yeah,
I really love that, man. Yeah,
an act of foreshadowing, perhaps?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But like all of these cops, they're surrounding him. They're edging closer. All of them have their guns drawn, and he's like appealing to the crowd. He's yelling at them to put their guns down.
He puts the guns down, and he says, if it weren't for the TV cameras, they'd kill all of us. And then he starts yelling, Asuka, Asuka, and the whole crowd join in.
The bit immediately before he starts yelling Asuka is the bit that I think is most effective for me, but he is singling out a particular cop, and he says he wants to kill me so bad he can taste it, right?
And this is such a personal fucking fit. Yeah, no, 100%. There is absolutely going to be a cop there that is ready to fucking rumble.
Yeah.
I'm going to find this hard to talk about talking about an eviction resistance I did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of cops got called, basically, and they tried to figure out a way to get us out of there. I'm going to give you the crib notes of this because it's not, well, it is important, but me and Acorn were outside of a house in the middle of the valleys where a lass was getting removed because she hadn't paid her rent or something like that. She contests that the arrears had been sorted out, but they say that they hadn't. Either way, doesn't matter. She got this, like, she was told that she was going to be evicted on this day, so we showed up. There was about 10 of us, and we just stood in the way to stop the cops from getting in. It took about 6 hours. Usually they just sort of like see that you're in the way and they go, fuck it, this isn't my problem, I can't be bothered, and go home. But for some reason we had fucking like Wales's finest on the job, and they were like, we're gonna figure out how to get these fucking like commies out of the way so we can chuck this disabled trans woman out on the street tonight, you know? It's important to us. And like, there's a video I posted on Twitter where one of the cops who comes forward while they're explaining how they're going to arrest us, one of the cops is there and she wants to kill us so bad you can taste it. Like, if you look, it's unfucking believable. Like, there are some people in the force who are just such true believers about this. But like, it is terrifying sometimes.
I've so many times been on the other side of like a barricade from like a cop that looks like so fucking ready to rumble.
Yeah.
You see it at protests too.
Yeah.
Smiling, just like ready to rumble.
Yeah.
It's also it's interesting as well because we get these like reaction shots of the cops who are like edging closer, and it's like this mixture of like beat cops and like shirt sleeves and the detectives who are some of the ugliest and worst dressed men in the world, all standing there in their like mismatched check suits with their like little snub-nosed revolvers, looking like the cheapest thugs possible.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely no distinction. It's just like, oh, these guys are here to kill you.
Yeah.
There's one other faction that are there, and they're there even from this point, which is like there's one fucking jackal amongst these cops. There's the FBI. It's an FBI guy in the case of this movie. In my case, in the eviction resistance, it was just some fucking sergeant from the force. But there is someone there who is just watching and is just like only thinking about how we get these people out of there.
Yeah.
Is that Lance Henriksen?
That is James Broderick as Sheldon.
Because there's the two FBI guys.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get to fucking Lance Hendrickson. Yeah, Christ.
The final humiliation for Moretti is that the bank teller has already stepped outside the bank and they're heading back inside now to continue the hostage situation. And Moretti says, "Oh, let her stay. She's already out of the bank. Just let her go, Al Pacino." And the teller herself tells him, "No, I'm not coming with you. I'm going back inside." And in front of the press, it's like, "My girls are in there. I'm going back in," and just humiliates him in front of the press. Right?
And the crowd is when Pacino's yelling Attica, the way the crowd is cheering along, and I was like, New York excellence, baby. When someone is robbing a bank, you go downtown to cheer them on.
Yeah.
That's fucking right.
He hasn't hurt anyone yet. Like the worst he has done is scare people, and like everyone hates the cops for good reason.
What's fun is that this was filmed at just sort of like a bank in New York. They just sort of rented it out for the duration of filming. And everyone who lived nearby, the director was like, "Can you guys just like lean out of your windows and just watch what's being filmed? Because that's going to really help the shots of people watching this."
You get these shots throughout because he comes in and out of the bank a number of times, and each of these shots is basically taken together. It's the story of how this becomes street theater and how the cops lose control of the staging, right?
Yes.
And that's the kind of thing that like then preoccupies them, is switching from how do we kill these two guys to how do we like maintain our own dignity here and also kill these two guys?
Well, the NYPD generally and police generally do love a theater moment. I mean, look at what they did. Look at how they perp walked Luigi Mangione with the fucking mayor.
Well,
there was no need for that. That's all pure theater.
They love a theater moment that they control. Right, it's like, but as soon as the theater starts being a little bit too like in the round for them, you know.
Exactly.
That's why the bit at the beginning is so brilliant to me, like the street scene shots. Because when you're watching, you're like, "Why? This is just like an intro. What is this?" But to me, it's so like
curtain up.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, like it's so sort of prepares you to like watch the movie from the perspective of a normal person that would be there, and not like someone who's rooting against the bank robbers.
Yeah, it's just a hot afternoon in Queens. Like no one is doing anything. Shit,
Brooklyn, baby.
So this actually happened. This happened in Gravesend, which is way the fuck out.
That's like
Coney
New York
Island.
Racism. I just did. That's crazy.
As a Queens resident, I thank you for the promotion of the world's borough.
I swear to God, I thought it was in Queens.
It's okay. So it happened in Gravesend, which is like a really working class neighborhood, very far out in Brooklyn. They filmed it in Park Slope, which is now very frou-frou, but when they shot it, it was very middle class, is what I would say. Yes.
Now, as a British trans woman who does occasionally have to talk to journalists, this next bit is my absolute favorite part of the film. Because the press call the bank and speak to Al Pacino and they're like, "Hey,
this is great.
You're live on TV right now. Why are you doing this?" And he goes, "What do you mean? Because
it's where they keep the money."
Yeah, it's where the money's in a big box here, actually.
And the journalist is just like doesn't fucking get it. It's just like, "Why don't you get a job?" And he's like, "Doing what? Like a bank teller?" And he turns to the bank teller and he goes, "Do you know how much a bank teller makes?" And they all go, "Not much."
He asked the journalist how much they make, which is so funny.
Really good.
How much money do you make, man?
But so there's an interesting bit about this, right? Which is when he's asked about getting a job, the first thing he says is, "I can't get a job because I don't have a union card. And if you can't get a union card, you can't get a job." And if you work non-union, you're like, working as a bank teller and making nothing, right? So it's not like straightforwardly just like
working class hero. It's
it's
Luigi Mangione. It's one of these places where that's like a strange ideology that he hasn't perhaps completely thought through.
It's the unions are incredibly corrupt because it's the 70s in New York City. But it's also just like, this is an everyman kind of.
Yes,
he's just like the guy who happens to be here in the same way as the crowd are just the people who happen to be here.
Yeah,
right.
I find it very ironic that he talks about not being able to get a union card, while in real life, the guy that this is based on was apparently actually in hock to the mob, and that's why he was robbing the bank. I was like, why not ask them for a union card, dude? I don't know. Well, I guess he's not in good standing with them, so that makes sense. Yeah.
So he also takes the journalist to task, and he's just like, you're here making fucking content out of my suffering. What am I going to get out of this? Like, are you going to pay me for being on the news? And he's like, I'm not going to pay you for being on the news. He's like, why not? You're getting paid off the back of me. Have you ever been to prison? Why are you asking me about my mental health in this interview that's meant to be about my fucking acting career? Why are you fucking talking about my fucking gender when I'm here to talk about the fucking awards that I've won? Fuck you. And then they say you can't swear on TV and cut him off.
Yeah, no, it's exactly like, because they're just like, well, why don't you give, hey, Sonny, how about you give up? And he's like, oh, how about I give up? You ever been to prison? And the guy's like, no, I've never been to prison. He's like, all right, how about we talk about something you fucking know then? And they like cut him off the air.
And the thing as well that I want
just
to emphasize
bleep as much
here
of that as you need to make it
and
very
they start
funny.
playing the Looney Tunes theme, which is funny to me.
That he knows that they are probably going to get killed by the cops. He says, you're going to see our brains on the sidewalk, right? Like, and
you're going to show that on the news?
Yeah, you're going to film it, right? And you're not going to air it. And I want something for that. And they cut him off, and you see that this is like the hostages are not even like Stockholm syndrome. They're just straightforwardly like everybody that he's talking to is worse than him. Like, and it's also it's like adding to the stress. We see some scenes of like his parents, for instance, his mum reacting to the news.
Oh my god, yeah.
And they're like, no.
His mom's like, why? If he needed money, why didn't he just come to me? And the dad said, why rob a bank when you've got a sucker for a mother?
Great. And there's like a neighbor who's also there, just like watching the TV, absolutely wrapped in that.
So really at this point, Al Pacino goes Dutch Van der Linde mode, and he's like, okay, I want you to bring me a helicopter and a jet, and we are all going to Tahiti. He's like, no, we're going to take a jet, we're going to take the hostages, we're going to fly to Algeria, and we're never coming back, okay? That's how we're going to do this, okay? And then he says to Sal, we could go anywhere, we could get a jet. Where do you want to go? What country do you want to go to? And Sal goes, Wyoming.
Yeah, that's the key part is that he's having to do this to like emotionally manage Sal, who has come up to him and been like, hey, brother, you know how we like promised that we'd get off clean or kill ourselves? Well, it's not getting off clean, are we?
It's seeming like murder-suicide o'clock.
No, we're getting off clean. Don't even worry about it. Don't even fucking stress about it. We're going to get a fucking plane to Tahiti, brother.
Yeah. George, we're going to Wyoming. There's going to be a rabbit farm.
The Wyoming thing as well is interesting because he tells Sal, right? Like he's negotiated this over the phone, right? And he's like, if you've got anybody that you want to call, because we're not going to be able to come back to the US ever, right? So if you've got anybody you want to speak to before we go, like, can you think of anybody? And Sal can't think of anybody, right? So you're stuck with a guy who is not only so dumb that he wants to get exiled to Wyoming, but also a guy who is so like lonely and like so much of an outcast that there is nobody in the entire country he can think that he wants to speak to other than you.
I mean, Wyoming doesn't have an extradition treaty with the United States, as far as I'm aware.
That is true.
Yeah.
If only Luigi Mangione had headed to the Wyoming border, you know,
if he'd been at Wyoming McDonald's, it would have been very different.
That's
so he
true.
goes outside to ask Moretti for the jet and stuff. When he goes outside, the crowd cheers when they see him, and the cops are all like visibly pissed.
The cops are so mad,
somebody tries to tackle him. It's like the boyfriend of one of the hostages, and then that
it's
guy
the
gets
boyfriend
arrested.
Of Maria. Yeah.
There's some racism here too, because that guy gets like bundled away, and it almost like throws the whole thing off. Like Sal almost shoots everybody, and Moretti has to calm him down by being like, you've got his girlfriend in there. You know how the Spanish, by which I intuit like Puerto Rican, you know how the Spanish are. Like he's, which is fascinating to be like, calm down, okay? I got my calipers right here. That guy was Puerto Rican. Which like,
and he goes NHS mode on them because he's like, right, I want a chopper and a jet, please. And Moretti's like, I'm gonna have to ask my superiors, and he's like, bring him here. Why the fuck am I talking to you? If you can't do this for me, email the next person up. And then if they can't do it, I'll just email them too. Get them down here, give me a chopper and a jet, and also get my wife.
Get my wife. And so
first mention of wife.
Key.
Get my wife, please.
we cut to the wife, who is just this stream of like Italian American working class, like non-stop talking. I love her. I love her to
so
pieces.
Good. Yeah.
Angie is like 75% of the women I've ever known in my life, and I'm not exaggerating.
Hell yeah.
Angie is perfect.
Yeah,
she's
so good.
She has a very philosophically interesting moment because she protests that Al Pacino is innocent in all of this. And she says, her line, I wrote it down, she says, his body might have done it, but he himself didn't do it. And it's like,
that's
what?
Great.
The robber has two bodies. Yeah,
that's really
I love
good.
The philosophical dualism of Angie.
I'm not sure that's a legal defense you can make.
Your Honor, this was not a temporal crime; it was a spiritual one.
And her evidence for this is like, he's a good guy because, like, okay, he screams at me all the time and is like maximally stressed. And one time he took me to Coney Island and there was a gun in the glove box, and I was thinking he was going to shoot me and dump my body in the river. My favorite part about Angie is the perseverance of her fear of being shot and dumped in the river. She brings it up like 5 different times. Like anytime she talks to anyone, she's just like, oh, I thought I was going to get shot and dumped in the river. And her evidence that he couldn't have done it or couldn't have meant it or couldn't have done it in his like heart of hearts is that he didn't shoot her and dump her in the river. He didn't do like domestic violence to her. He just yells a lot, you know?
Worth noting that actually for something later is that by her own admission, he doesn't do domestic violence towards Angie.
Yes. Or his kids.
We'll pull this out later on.
Yeah. So now we're back inside the bank. They've got the TV on. They're watching an old Western. One of the lines that is sort of like very, important in that is one of them goes, one of the characters in the Western goes, "What kind of man are you to side with the Indians against his own people?" on the TV. And it's like themes are happening here.
Meanwhile, like Sonny is like teaching some of the other girls in the bank how to do like parade gun movements. Things like that.
They had mentioned in the first hostage call that they were Vietnam veterans, so killing doesn't mean anything to us, which we see isn't true. The killing part, but the Vietnam part is true, right? And it's like, well, that's absolutely. So like, contemporary, right?
So Pacino sees or thinks he sees the cops trying to come in the back door of the bank, and he fires a warning shot to keep the cops away. And everybody panics. Everybody's down. The cops outside are like frothing at the mouth, ready to just open fire on the window.
It's time.
All the detectives are like crouching behind the car.
It's rock and
Moretti is yelling at the bank through a bullhorn, and the crowd are copying him. He's like, "Stop doing that!" And they're all like, "Stop doing that!" And they're like flipping him off. And like
doing the people's mic.
Yes, I was good. My note literally says, "Doing the people's mic to the NYPD is one of the funniest bits I've ever seen."
It's really
to
fucking
people's
funny.
Joker. It's so good.
Listen, the legacy of Occupy Wall Street, it might not have been great in a lot of ways, but it did give us the people's mic, and I think this is a beautiful implementation of it.
But Moretti and Sonny just yell over each other.
God, we need the people's mic in Cardiff.
They just yell over each other like it's a badly edited podcast.
There's a beautiful bit where he comes out and he and Moretti are yelling at each other, and Moretti has this one line where he's trying to blame it on like, oh, there's like a separate like tactical force at the back of the building, and they I can't communicate with them. But he says, "I don't know how you could do any better," which is such a fucking getting guilt tripped by my hostage negotiator. It's like, you don't appreciate all the stuff I do for you.
And so they get some pizzas for them because they're hungry. When the pizza arrives, Al Pacino
this fucking twink.
he pays for the pizza, and the cops understandably realizing this is going to make it popular with the crowd. No, don't pay for it. It's fine. We've paid for it. He's like, no, I'm going to pay the delivery guy. And he's like paying them with money he's stolen from the bank.
Like fucking like
the crowd is seeing this and they're like cheering. The pizza
pocket,
guy is elated. He like Al Pacino starts just like throwing wads of money into the crowd, and the people are like cheering. Some people get beaten by the cops and arrested. But yeah, it's fucking amazing. He's constantly
he's doing
for the
a
cameras.
Phenomenal fucking job, by the way, of keeping them on side. Like that's really, really good
There's
stuff.
a key detail here as well, which is that the money that he's throwing to the crowd and he's using to pay the pizza guy is the bait money that the bank has separated and marked, which he knew ahead of time. So he's not even cutting into his own take. He's using their fucking like monopoly money, you know? Also, when he goes back in the bank, he's got like both hands full with like pizzas and like Cokes. He's not even armed at this point.
He tries to get beer for the hostages.
He asks for a beer and Reddy's like, let's not do that right now.
And the pizza, the delivery guy opens the bank door for him and like holds it open for him. It's like really, really sweet. Like
and the second like he goes back in, the pizza guy yells out like, I'm on TV or similar.
He says, I'm a fucking star.
Yeah, really interesting.
In terms of like the sort of like being observed theme, there's one of the bank tellers. There's a girl with sort of like a big perm fro who is having the time of her life in every single shot. Every time the camera's trained on her, she's always like making like this face like she is having an orgasm, and it's incredible, and I'm in love with her.
Because being on camera was a new thing then.
And every time she's anywhere, she's always looking over her shoulder like, ooh. And I love her so much.
And nowadays, like being on camera is like, you walk down the street and like, I assume I'm being just like Twitch streamed at all times from like 9 angles.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some guy pretending to be an NPC kicking me.
Yeah, being on camera is like, hey brother, can you fucking stop filming me for one fucking second, please?
That hostage, she's the one who's learning the like rifle drills from Pacino. Like,
gives them his gun and it's like, this is how you do.
It's still loaded and everything. It's the sole sort of line that's still keeping this a hostage taking is Sal with his gun in the conference room, and he's just kind of sulking. You know?
Yeah, and they kind of take the piss out of him too, because one of the head teller is like, does anyone have a cigarette? And then they're like, oh, I didn't know you smoked. And she's like, I'm going to start. And then Sal tells her, you shouldn't smoke. Your body is the temple of the Lord. And then the head teller like points out the hypocrisy of this. She's just like, so you're like a holy man. You believe in like morality and taking care of yourself. And here you are fucking robbing a bank. Fuck you, dipshit. And it's like all sense of order and hierarchy here is broken.
It's like Al Pacino's in a shaggy like hangout movie. And Cazale's in like a hostage movie.
So
Al's been like, Al Pacino has been sweating through his shit as well the whole time. Like he's now like, it's gotten to the point his dress is like evolving like Ready or Not, right? Like he's just got this sweated through shirt that's now completely undone.
One of the things they do is they to increase the pressure, the cops turn off the air conditioning, so everybody's sweating. Right. And he comes out to yell at them about this, in fact. And for the rest of the movie in the bank, everybody's like covered in the sheen of sweat. Pacino is losing more and more clothes. He came in a full suit, and he kind of like flies out of the door in like a shirt that's like mostly unbuttoned at like both wrists and down to like sternum. And this pair of like khaki like bell bottom slacks. And he's just out there screaming. It's perfect.
And at this point, a new character arrives.
Yeah, because he told them to get his wife.
Yes,
and
they do.
Here we go.
How do we talk about this character?
Well,
this is a character called Leon Shermer, who is let's say that. All right, well, okay. let's cast this the way the movie does. This is a gay man, right?
Yes.
Who has been told that that they're like a woman in the body of a man and is saving up for a sex change operation. That is the way the movie puts it.
We are dealing with a very 70s concept of not transgender but transsexualism as something that is operative and not like identitative, right? So what it is in this conception, and this wasn't even true or like believed amongst trans women at the time, including the woman this is based on, because this is based on a real trans woman named Elizabeth Newton. But the idea,
shout out if you're listening.
This was she's not, sadly, the prevailing kind of cisgender narrative of transness was you are a gay man and then you get the sex change operation that makes you a woman, and then you're a woman.
But then you're a real woman.
Yeah, not a trans woman, just like woman.
Just a woman.
Yeah. Have any of you seen the documentary Let Me Die a Woman?
I have not.
Ooh,
it is from the 70s, and it is kind of a hard watch, but it is very instructive in terms of like the conception of gender that like the medical community had at the time for trans people, and the sort of games we all had to play. But it was this thing where doctors were like literally they say it in the movie, we'll be making real women. And they show someone get a vaginoplasty on camera in the film, which is gnarly to watch. But
hell yeah.
Anyways, I think it's sort of like, it's an interesting document of what was going on at the time. And I found it very helpful for watching this, where she's like, it is an alien planet when it comes to how trans people are talked about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even talk about ourselves at the time.
Absolutely. It's kind of, because there were trans people who equally did buy into this, right? Of this thing of
course.
You transition, you get your sex change operation, which changes your sex. You go stealth for the rest of your life.
You're supposed to move away and like cut off contact with everyone you've ever met.
Yeah.
I actually, a while ago, I met a trans woman who did this, who at 19 moved from the US to China, went via Thailand, got a quote unquote sex change operation, and had been living in London subsequently. And she was just like, I've been dating my boyfriend for 7 years and he does not know.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And I was like,
that's how you're
bullshit.
supposed to do it.
And I didn't believe her. I was like, no way, you're fucking cis. And then she showed me the like photos, and I was like, my God.
Yeah, absolutely, like a medical attempt to kind of prevent any kind of trans community existing. Apart from anything
The
else.
first thing you must know is that we have people everywhere.
Yeah, and when
You never know.
turn around, there I am.
Yes.
Look to your left, look to your right. If neither of them are transgender, you are transgender.
You're Stevie and you're trans.
Nathan, if you're listening.
So,
yeah, that's a good bit.
oh, the other thing about the real life,
you're transgender.
Yeah, the real life people also, I was looking into this a lot, was sort of like, it was Elizabeth Eden was pre-transition when her and the guy Sonny is based on got together, and he was apparently very resistant to her sex change operation in real life.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, like him and the other robber met at a gay bar. Like he was basically, Al Pacino had clearly left his wife because he was, a gay guy, which, can mean a lot of things. But yes.
Yeah.
Something else is so we later learned that Leon came out kind of during the relationship with Al Pacino, that they got married. We see their wedding photo in which Leon is like presenting as a woman. And then Leon kind of went back into the closet because went to Bellevue, the psychiatric hospital.
Yes,
and that is also something that does occasionally happen in the story of a trans woman. It's not always a kind of like neat split. Sometimes people come out and then they kind of go back in the closet for a bit because they kind of put a toe out and get scared and go back. And there can be a bit of a do-si-do with it.
I think portraying like a trans woman character here as like a gay man, he, him pronouns, is like, it's transphobic of the movie. It's played by a cishet like actor, like cishet male actor.
Susan Sarandon's husband.
Yes. Not even gay. Not even gay.
Not even gay, straight man.
Appearing as me doing a morning podcast recording, because he shows up with like
Shut the fuck up.
hair all over the place, dressing gown up to here, and like there's a real intimacy that's really funny of like because like I'm going to keep using he, him pronouns at this point because this is what the movie does. Has had like an injection of God knows what at Bellevue, the psychiatric hospital, and is like sort of like barely conscious. And all of these cops are trying to wake him up very gently and very intimately. And one cop in the room, this barbershop that they're staging the hostage negotiation.
One fucking cop is just dying laughing in the background.
One cop is like, I didn't know he was queer, and starts laughing and gets this death stare off Moretti, who is trying to like work here, and the whole time he's like just like trying to like hold it in, like try and stop from laughing.
Well, he's trying to stop himself from laughing while Chris Sarandon is doing this like heart-wrenching monologue as Leon. Like this is, I mean, not to deflate my point about the heart-wrenching, but this is one of the fag voices of all time.
True.
This is one of the greatest fucking performances.
I wouldn't say this is a trans-friendly portrayal by any means, but I suppose it is a sort of fraught question of if your character is somebody, so like Leon's story is like came out, didn't like transition medically, but was like presenting as a woman, and then we learned that Al Pacino was violent and like assaulted her.
Yeah.
She tried to kill herself with a bunch of pills. That's why she went back into psychiatric hospital and was kind of like not even detransitioned, but like went back into the closet. So and I'm like, okay, if you are portraying a character who is at that period of the life of like having done a bit of a do-si-do, it's like back in the closet now, but it's a glass closet. Who do you get to play that role? Not entirely easy to say.
It's very tough.
And one thing I will say is Susan Sarandon's husband does this justice in the sense that like the sense of dignity in this performance
is never played for laughs.
No.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's beautiful, actually.
So like I think in the context of when it was written and filmed, it was about as trans friendly as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like not to I don't want to grade everything on a curve because obviously we deserve more, but like I think in the terms of in the context of who was watching it, who was making it, it sort of was I think dignity is a really important word for the sort of what the character was given.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So in the course of this story, learning what Leon's been through, the narrative that Moretti extracts from this is that Al Pacino is robbing the bank specifically to pay for Leon's sex change operation. That's the term that they use. That is base cell. That is amazing. But also, I just had a quick moment of absolute fucking despair when Leon says, "Oh, we needed $2,500 for the operation."
Yeah, right. Can you fucking imagine? 2,500.
I mean, that's about 20 grand today.
Oh, really? Is it? I haven't taken this kind of. Yeah, that's
US,
about right.
The dollar
Since
inflation
the 70s?
from the 70s to now is about 8.
Yeah, that's about. How much is a vagina now?
How much is the going rate for a pussy? Does anyone know?
I actually don't know what the out of pocket for a pussy is. Everyone I know has gotten it through insurance or Medicaid.
So how much is a vagina plasty?
There is also the detail that Leon is seemingly going to get vagina plasty, seemingly with no hormones, which is again unfair to Elizabeth Eden.
You just get it and then you go stealth. That's the fucking
20 grand would so I'm looking at that now. 20 grand would probably be like at the top end for the operation itself. You're looking
you get like
more
the heated leather interior,
just
like,
north of just north of 10. But by the time you account into like flights and care and recovery time and so on, you're probably looking about that.
I mean, you're probably going to like Trinidad, Colorado at that point.
There's like 2 doctors that do it. There's one in New York at the time that does it, I think. But
but yeah, so
if you just had a vaginoplasty, and some of you probably have, write in. How much does that shit cost?
So the NYPD are as usual pieces of shit, right? Like Moretti is trying to like use but first carrot and then stick on Leon.
Really interesting.
To be like first, well, don't you want to get him out, and so you can help him, and then switching when that doesn't work to, well, in a way it's kind of your responsibility because
he did this for you, which makes kind of you. It's sort of you who's doing the bank robbery, really, if you think about it.
You are kind of an accessory, which is like not true at all. Legal.
No one would fucking convict at all.
It doesn't matter.
This is like arresting Jodie Foster for John Wick.
It's not illegal to inspire a crime. By the way, I think it's really hot when people like healthcare executives.
It would make me very happy if someone would kill. I think that would be really good if someone did that. I would be very sexy if you did that.
I'm not even interested. Don't bleep this. Kill. What are you doing? Americans, what are you fucking doing? Remember Gun? Like if I asked you guys for a dead kid, you could give me 15 within a day. Just fucking kill. Please.
If you're asking me what I'm doing, Devon, I'm on a podcast right now, so I can't really be doing the thing that you asked for.
Reasonable. Listen, if you think you're getting coded messages from the host of Kill James Bond, I just want to be clear. If you think you're getting it from November or Abby, you're not. Don't DM them. Don't fucking do it. If you think you're getting coded messages from me, DM me. Let's work out some, let's get the logistics figured out.
Anyway, this story leaks and hits the news, and they're watching the TV inside the bank, and they're like, these two admitted homosexuals.
That's so funny. Yeah, because Sal hears them go like, two homosexual bank robbers, and is like, whoa, hold on. The fuck
He's just an ally.
I'm straight. I'm just an ally, man.
The journalist also says that the queer community has reacted to this in kind of mixed ways. Some people, there's some queer people who are just like, hell yeah, we love this. This is awesome. And some of them are condemning this violence in the strongest terms. And
yeah, nothing ever changes.
The blue sky discourse would be fucking insane if this happened. Like, my God.
Yeah. And we see a gay crowd showing up, complete with a banner.
Yeah,
this is interesting because this movie casts it in the same sort of way as Cruising, where they're like, the gay community really supports Sonny and what he's doing. But because of the time that it's made, like, they pan across the gay community and they just show like a bunch of people that they consider to be freaks, all of which I think are serving cunt. But like, that's beside the point. Correct. And the point is that like Sonny is reacting with like horror with seeing like the kind of like people that are supporting him here, but I just don't take it like that.
I didn't get that so much. I might have missed it. Something I saw which is interesting though is that there's the gay crowd who are outside the bank cheering for him, and then the other presumed straight crowd are jeering them.
Yes,
that is true.
That does happen.
From this point onwards, like every time he goes out, instead of universal cheers, he's getting half and half cheers and boos, cheers and cheers.
Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I liked his bank robbing policy until I found out he was a faggot. By the way,
love the bank shit. Yeah,
Moretti at this point gets sidelined by the FBI agent Young Sheldon, and he's
Bazinga, Agent Sheldon is here.
Listen, it's not difficult to make the FBI sinister because they are in real life, but like this is,
I mean, they're getting shut down right now, so
by a bunch of fucking teenagers
for being too woke. But like, this is some of the most sinister FBI in the game.
Easy way to get back on top, I'm just saying.
They let 6 twinks in the door and now the FBI is done. It's a shame, but it's
crazy.
Could uncuck the FBI.
FBI agent Young Sheldon comes to the door and he's like, listen, these guys, we don't want to kill you, but it's just, we're just doing our job. To which we get one of my favorite lines in the movie. Sonny says, the guy who kills me, I hope he does it because he hates my guts, not because it's his job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real.
And Pacino allows Agent Young Sheldon to come inside and just take a look around. The tellers yell at him. They're like, "Why aren't you sorting this out faster?" Which is funny. Sal's really like, "Hey, tell the news to stop saying I'm gay."
Really like that. Yeah, it's bugbear the whole time.
On the way out, Agent Sheldon gets him by the door in the Sally port where Sal can't hear him. Ironic, given the name, and he's like,
"The Salless port."
Listen, we know that Sal's the only one who's serious about this hostage taking thing. You just stand by. We'll take care of Sal.
Yeah, he like leans in. He goes, "We'll take care of Sal. Don't worry about it." And Al Pacino's like, "Whoa, hold on a minute. Sal's my boy. We're in this together." And he's like, "We'll take care of him. Don't worry." And just goes away.
Fucking terrifying.
It is. And then when Sal asks what that was all about, Pacino lies to him, and it's just like, "Oh, he just telling me about the bus that's coming. They can't get a chopper. They're going to get a bus."
It's now kind of, it's going to be ambiguous for the rest of the movie whether or not Pacino is thinking about selling Sal out.
Yes. The manager has a diabetic attack. He gets hypoglycemic, and they have to run a doctor in out of the crowd.
He also has to get, so like Sheldon's other thing is, right, now you're going to have to take phone calls from every person in your life who is going to stress you out. They're every person in this motherfucker's life who is annoying coming over or calling him to annoy him worse. Right? Like
first, I believe is
Leon calls back. We get this beautifully written drama scene where Leon calls, and obviously these people are lovers and maybe haven't spoken in a while. And Pacino asks how you've been, and like Bellevue was rough, and Pacino's like, "Look, I'm gonna die here." And Leon's like, "Well, this, I tried to kill myself to get away from you. This is what you do. You hurt the people around you." And Pacino's like, "I'm under a lot of fucking pressure. Like, I'm doing my best. And do you want to come with me?" And Leo's like, "No, what the fuck? But like, I wish you well." And like, it's very,
this is really beautifully written.
Yeah. Can you
really
tell the cops
this.
I'm not an accessory? It's like, what the fuck? You didn't tell me they were listening. And it's really beautiful drama.
Obviously the cops are listening in. You get the shots of like all of them
There's like 75 guys in the room.
Listening to like a handset and just saying nothing.
Yeah.
All of them on a handset, and meanwhile Sonny is just there like, Moretti, is that you? Can you fucking say something, pal? And he's just deathly silent the whole time. And he asks again, it's like, all right, are they off the line now? And Leon goes, yeah, sure. Like, it's not like that, like Leon is trying to lie. It's more just like, yeah, fine. Yeah. Let's imagine they're off the line. Why not?
And this conversation concludes with Pacino saying, well, are you gonna go back to Bellevue and are you gonna get the operation and transition basically? And Leon's like, yeah, I am. And Pacino's like, okay, well, goodbye and good luck. And that's a sort of mutual sentiment. It's really quite beautiful, actually.
Yeah. Then they send his mother over.
Yeah.
Not yet.
No.
Yeah,
let's
then
do the
his
mother
legal
one.
Wife calls.
Oh, yeah, this is funny because he gets on the phone. He's just like he's ringing the phone. He's looking up at like Sal, and he's like, I could ring anyone right now, and they put him on. I could talk to the Pope right now. Look who I've got a fucking ring. And he rings his wife, and he's like, "Hey, baby."
Yeah.
I'm in the bank, and she just doesn't stop talking.
Yeah, she's like, I've been so worried about you. You've been acting weird lately. You've been yelling at me. You've been yelling at the kids, and like she just doesn't stop talking. I thought you were gonna shoot
me and dump me in the river.
Yeah, and then Pacino's like, shut the fuck up. She's like, how could you have sex with Leon? Like, what is going on here? And then he just hangs up.
I wish I had written him down, but doesn't she bring up like some really mundane thing about their lives that he's supposed to do?
I don't know.
I don't.
I feel like she starts talking about like the most like inane shit on earth, and he gets so mad at her.
Yeah, I believe so. It just hangs up mid sentence, just like fucking, I cannot do this. I can't.
Then they bring his mum in.
Who like gets him outside the bank and is again talking nonstop about how like she told the cops that he's a good guy. Really, she says, I told them you were with Goldwater in '64 at the convention, which is
really good. Yeah. And then like she's like, oh, they've told me that like nothing will happen if you just give up, and this is classic mum shit. All right.
And she also says, like, and this bit is kind of fascinating actually. She says, I know the only reason you've been sleeping with Leon is because Angie's been mistreating you. That must be what it is. I never liked her.
Yeah,
she's obviously not been a good enough wife, which is why you felt the need to go and do this.
This is some of the most like Italian working class 1970s masculinity of being like, well, my son's not gay. Right, he's like he's just like fucking around because his wife is kind of a bitch and she's not giving him what he needs. It's really, really like acutely observed. I really like it. So he like he's not gonna give up. He like hugs his mom goodbye, goes back in the bank. They turn off the lights as well, and it's getting dark at this point.
This is the point at which the FBI agent is in charge of the scene now. This has nothing to do with Moretti. Moretti's fucking gone. It's the FBI, and they turn the lights off. He
gets the head teller to write him his will as well.
Yes.
A very sweet little scene there.
It is. He leaves Leon in this order. He leaves Leon $2,700 from his life insurance for a sex change operation.
He describes Leon as my darling wife whom I love more than any man has loved another man, which
complicated.
Complicated.
And then he calls Angie the only woman that he ever loved, which again
it's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm reminded of something that you talked about on Trash Future a while ago about like when people get desperate. And this was specifically in the context of Luigi Mangione, when people get desperate, they do often lash out in ways that are not politically thought through, that are incoherent and strange and esoteric. And you do get people like the guy who like blew himself up in a fucking Cybertruck and shit like that. Or you do get the guy who like ran people over in a truck who's like in ISIS, but he's not really in ISIS because he's just getting divorced. And like desperation does breed these sorts of incoherent politics lashings out, because a lot of people don't have coherent politics at all.
It's also modernity. Like whenever that sequence of him on the phone, the sequential phone calls, is really important to me because it is like he is the extremely stressed modern man of the 1970s who's just got a lot of shit going on, right? And some of the best thriller movies are like premised on this idea, like even Speed does this, for instance, of like people just living in the world now have a lot of shit going on. Everything feels like it's about to pop, right?
Like everyone's clenching a styrofoam coffee cup with like an unsettling sort of amount of sweat. Yeah.
I will say that maybe part of the reason America's so mad is that they do make the coffee very strong over there.
It's the correct strength of coffee. Yeah. It's the correct strength of coffee. I'm tired in the morning.
Every time I go over, I have a few days of like adjusting to the caffeine. I'm just like, because I usually have like 2 cups of coffee, and then I have 2 in the US, and I have a fucking heart attack. And I'm like, oh God, no. It's the one coffee nation.
I wouldn't worry about that. They're not letting you in from here on out.
I was going to say, is that what happened to you, Abby, last time we hung out? When you died? I was wondering what happened.
Yeah.
We got coffee and you died.
So the FBI are like, okay, listen, we got your plane. We got your bus to take you to the airport. We've parked this bus outside. It's like a stretch limo kind of like 4x4 thing. It's weird. And we've got like the normal style, completely like friend Niceman, the guy who's not a
the normal style like bus driver, except he's slightly too folksy. And we've also got Agent Murphy, the most fucking black site man I've ever seen in my entire life. Lance Henriksen looking fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
The robot
looking
from
like he's going to
here.
kill you. Like the
We've
audience
got
member.
John, not a cop.
Yeah, you want to talk about that guy looks like he wants to kill me so bad he can taste it? Like
Bishop from Aliens, right? Like this is a man who is locked in. And what he's locked into is his gun to your head. Like it's over.
So Pacino searches the vehicle, right? And he doesn't find anything. And the whole time the driver who's wearing the like civilian like overalls is being very folksy with him. And Pacino's like, okay, let me take this guy, and he can drive, not Agent Lance Henriksen. And the guy's like, really? And he's like, no, you think I'm a fucking idiot? You think me stupid? Like
driving directly into the FBI garage next door? Like what? Yeah,
like this is the thing about Sonny as a character, right? Is that he's half smart. Right, and that's what makes him compelling, is that he's kind of canny enough to realize, as he says, everybody's a con man, which is another like modern thing. It's like this is a guy who is suspicious not just because he's robbing a bank, but because everything feels like it's cheating him. Right.
Also, to be like a gay hustler in the 70s, you kind of have to be you gotta be a little canny to get around.
You gotta be able to recognize a cop. Like
yes.
I like that we don't confirm whether he's correct about this. He suspects the first driver.
We literally do. I'm afraid. Yeah, because in the next shot we see the driver next to Sheldon. He's wearing a full suit again.
Oh shit! Really? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, which I really like. So they have to get all of the hostages out in a big huddle with Sonny and Sal in the middle, because they really think that the feds are going to start shooting, and that's like entirely like possible. And when they all get into the car, there's a bit where Sonny goes, "Oh fuck, we did it," which I really like. As just the like guy who can't believe that this is still working. And amongst the hostages too, you get like this perfect spectrum of reactions, from like horror to like exhaustion to that one lady who is still just incredibly hyped.
She's so happy to be in there.
As they drive away, some people in the crowd are cheering, some people are jeering and throwing beer cans.
Yeah, it's like it's almost subsequent, right? Like he goes through a group of people that are all just like, yeah, Sonny, woo. And then like the next people are just smacking on the window and be like, you are a faggot, by the way. I don't know if you forgot about this, but you are.
Yeah, it's more Puerto Rican guys calling him a maricon, right? Because like Maria, they let Maria go in exchange for the bus, and because Sal's never been on a plane before and he's nervous, she gives him her rosary. Breaks my fucking heart.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And then all of the entire Puerto Rican community of Brooklyn are just following this convoy of cops throwing beer cans at them.
I love the moment where we arrive at the airport and this jet taxis up for them, and they show it all in real time. They just really let the tension build. Like,
so stressful,
are we really gonna get away with this? As this jet very slowly pulls around, there's no music or anything.
Very noisy, like whining jet engine.
Al Pacino's like, I forgot to ask for any food. Is there food on the plane? And then Moretti's like, yeah, there'll be hamburgers. On the plane, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Explaining a bank robbery to an American.
The whole time, like this driver is being like, "Hey, Sonny, can you just like raise your gun up a little bit because we're going to go over some speed bumps, and I don't want you to accidentally shoot me in the head." Sorry, Sal. Don't shoot me in the head, Sal. And Sal's like, "Oh yeah, totally, brother," and like raises the gun up every time.
Sonny, by the way, is the one who has like a long rifle, right? Which she can't really maneuver inside the car. It's like stuck against the roof. Sal is the one with the submachine gun. He's the only one who can practically shoot anyone at this point. And the only person who, as we've seen, wants to. And we've established that Sonny is maybe being given an out here in the form of selling Sal out. And so when they get this question, as their food on the plane, which is clearly like a signal, Lance Henriksen is like, "Hey, Sonny, do you mind moving the gun out of the back of my head for a second?" And when he does, he like reaches for a concealed pistol in like the driver's armrest. And we don't know whether Sonny missed that by accident or on purpose. And reaches over, shoots Sal dead instantly.
Yeah, takes him out.
Because he was right about cops the whole time. They want to do it. They want to kill you.
They want to kill you. Yeah, no, they want to kill you so bad they can taste it. Every single one of them. They'll say a lot, but it's so that they can kill you.
And Sonny is the one who like he gets held at gunpoint and arrested because he's not going to get away with just getting killed. He has to be more stressed out, right?
Yeah.
We're not done with you. We got to put you in the stress box.
Oh god.
Well, he's busted, and then the title cards at the end say that he did 20 years in prison. My notes here say, "Come on the pod."
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
This movie almost got him killed because it does kind of imply that he sold out his like co-conspirator, which you don't want to imply about a guy who's still in prison because apparently that's violating a huge cultural norm to like snitch on.
It's very offensive in the crime community.
In the prison community, that's something that tends to be sanctioned with shanking.
Yeah, our friend Little John Basso is based on, and unfortunately left us in 2006.
He did die in 2006,
but only served 5 years, so good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, the rights to his story to tell this was like from that money he paid for Elizabeth Eden's sex change operation.
Did he actually?
From the money from this movie. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dog. Because the final title card says Leon Sherman is now a woman and living in New York City, and it's like, all right, okay,
but that is the language that people used. You became a woman
until 1987.
I'll kind of take that. Like, to become a woman. Yeah, I fucking did. Thank you. Like,
Absolutely. Like, I mean, again, all right, not to go back to Luigi, but this was something that happened in 1971. The movie, like the article was written in 72. The movie came out in 73. This is like if Luigi Mangione, there was a movie about Luigi that came out in like 2 years' time.
The fucking should be.
Well, I've got something to tell you all, to announce on the podcast is that I've been cast in that. No, I'm kidding.
I would happily write the movie.
Yeah,
figure it out.
No, absolutely. But yeah, it's sort of based on a true story, but it's using that to tell kind of a story instead about how like modern life is very stressful and everyone's a big fucking idiot.
And also how the news is content.
The news is content.
Which we fixed, I think, a couple years later.
That actually got sorted out, which was pretty good. Yeah,
the news is content. Every cop wants to kill you, which I think we also fixed a couple of years after this.
That's right.
If you remember the movie Serpico, I think he Serpicoed all over them, and then they stopped being like that.
This is after the movie Serpico.
Yeah, I understand that someone got in and changed it from the inside shortly after this, which was pretty good. Yeah. It was really good that they did that.
They hired the one good cop, which they should never have done because it really fucked them up. Like after that, it was more of a kind of a protective force. So and that's the movie. It's a little movie we like to call Dog Day Afternoon.
I think this is going to do very well on the Scum spectrum.
Yeah,
I
think
honestly believe that. Yeah,
I'm excited.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
I was just saying I watched this yesterday afternoon, and it was what I would call a good movie afternoon.
Yesterday, Dog Day.
I had a great time with it. Sidney Lumet.
It's a great movie.
This is straightforwardly like a recommendation. It's a big thumbs up.
Yeah.
I think it establishes in terms of the heist as a genre, it establishes the everyman here in opposition to the figure of fantasy that is like the professional criminal. This is just guy whose life is fucked up and is trying to like get some shit done. It's a lot more like something like Uncut Gems, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you guys gotten to Taking of Pelham 123 yet?
Oh, that's very strongly on the list.
Okay, because that's another great example of a very similar oof, I think.
Yeah, a lot of New York City stuff in that too.
Great mayor stuff in that one as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Take Your Pelham 123 is firmly on the list. But this is something that I think is interesting because we're taking the concept of the heist and trying to make it like relatable to like everyday anxieties, you know, like you get yelled at a lot by your wife, or you know, you have a difficult relationship with your mum, and you're like, I'm just like the guy in the movie Dog Day Afternoon. I hate cops.
Well, this is one of those things. It's right. There's an intersection here, which we love when we're doing analytical podcasts. We love an intersection. The first part of this intersection is oh god, what's it called? Stockholm syndrome, right?
Yeah.
The second half of this is this is someone who has heard the sentence, "We're here for the bank's money, not your money. Your money is insured by the Federal Reserve. You're not going to lose a penny. We're just here for the bank." This is someone who believes that 100% and has walked into the bank basically believing that they can just take that money and like no one's going to get mad at them.
Yeah,
Which I really love as a setup for a heist. Is a guy being like, "Yeah, it's just the bank's money. Like, you're not losing anything. What's the problem?"
It's also an interesting, if kind of idiosyncratic proletarian fantasy, right? Where I'm gonna rob this bank. Everybody in general is gonna be on my side for doing it, like even the employees and stuff. And it's interesting because this is a fantasy, right? Like, you read about bank staff getting robbed, getting like PTSD for like the rest of their lives off of that shit, because it's like terrifying. It's a traumatic experience.
My mom got robbed she worked as a bank teller in the Bronx around this exact time and got robbed at gunpoint.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not a nice experience a lot of the time. Sometimes things like this can happen, but like most of the time not, right? And
I'm sorry that happened, but I also did need to pay for my sex change operation.
Yeah, I don't know why you quantum leapt into Pelham Parkway in like 1975, but
I knew the security would be lax.
Yeah,
because you knew Gail was working. Yeah,
different kinds of fantasies, right? And I think that's interesting on that basis, you know. But we don't have to talk about this subjectively, because we have a science-based system. It's called the SCUM system. It stands for SMARM, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, and misogyny. How smarmy is Dog Day Afternoon? I think it's quite sincere. I think it's quite a sincere film.
I think this is a very, very sincere movie. I don't know if it's smarmy at all, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
No, I'm thinking like one here.
One?
Yeah, totally.
Cultural insensitivity.
Well, I mean, listen. Are we counting the gay community here as like a culture to be insensitive towards?
I think yes, and it is.
Yeah.
Like, it has the same sort of 70s view of the gay community as like, look at these fucking weirdos.
I don't think so. Remember, the protagonist is a gay man with whom we are very explicitly invited to sympathize.
There is a specific shot that I'm thinking of where he's outside of the bank, and he hears a bunch of people show up, and they unfold a banner that says, "Sonny, we're with you all the way." And there's a shot of his face where he like seems happy. And then it does this like close zoom over everyone in that crowd, and they're all just like various of transsexuals, you know, freaks, the kind of people that I love with all my heart. But then it cuts back to him, and he sort of reacts with like fear or like disgust, and then goes back into the bank. And that in particular, I think, is like the thesis statement. Like this, they think this man is a gay man who robbed this bank, but they think that is like a failing of his. Whereas I think it's cool as hell.
I interpreted that shot as, I remember that shot, and I interpreted it as him being like, this thing has gotten out of hand and I'm going to die here.
That's, I mean, yes, certainly.
That's like how and less like, oh no, the trannies have arrived. And the other point to my thought is, I know I'm not like on the scientific committee here, but my feeling was okay, great, I'm on it. But the TV showing that there's not one gay viewpoint and being like, some gay people are calling in happy, some gay people are calling in not happy, is probably like sort of like probably a revolutionary for the time. Yeah, that there's not just one block of gay opinion.
Yeah.
That is actually an interesting point.
I think as well, it is also true that there are members of the queer community who look at other sections of the queer community and for want of a better word, cringe. It's true that there are some people who are like that.
Another thing we sorted out, I think.
Yes, we did sort that out. Thankfully we fixed all that now.
We sorted it out a couple of years later. It's pretty good.
We can maybe give it like a point or two for what is now a decidedly regressive, but at the time entirely kind of progressive view of like trans identity and homosexuality. The one thing I do want to say is that what community is a monolith and are kind of like all robots are Puerto Ricans in this movie.
Yeah, it's not good about that. Very bad.
It does kind of play into the stereotypes of that a little bit.
You take one Puerto Rican woman hostage and the entire community aggroes against you. It's a weird handshake meme there between that and West Side Story.
Remind
me.
So
how about a 3?
I think
2, 3.
Yeah. It does explicitly condemn the NYPD for being racist, which I like. So
2?
No, I'm happy sticking with 3.
No, 3. 3 fits for me. 3 fits.
Okay.
Unprovoked violence doesn't really ask us to endorse.
He doesn't. They don't do any. Like,
the point is anti it. Like that's why like Attica gets mentioned all the time. That's why he's like yelling at the cops. Is that like unprovoked violence may well occur. Like, and the point is that he's trying to head it off.
Yeah, like this is a violent society. I go back to the mention of Vietnam again, right? Like, it's a society steeped in violence, and that everybody's intimately familiar with it at the hands of the cops. And what they're trying to do is a smash and grab robbery that turns through their own incompetence and nothing else into a hostage taking. I think it's really. Yeah,
I think of this movie as a sort of like one of my favorite genres of thing is America's Haunted. Like we're a big haunted house.
Yeah,
and this is just what it does to people. Is we are bathed in blood since the minute we are born, and it drives a lot of people pretty crazy.
So finally, misogyny.
Well, so this is a difficult thing to say because,
let's decide on whether or not violence towards Leon Shermer is misogyny, because I believe that it is.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Then it's quite high, right? Because like this is like Sonny. We know he is not abusive towards his wife and kids, but he is abusive towards Leon.
That's true.
Every non-transsexual woman in his life is this kind of shrill harpy, and I won't say that that's necessarily like an unrealistic thing in itself to happen, but it is an authorial choice, right?
On the other hand, all of the bank tellers are female, and they're kind of normal.
That's true.
They're not sort of shrill harpies.
What he does. This is the story of a guy who can only make friends with women who aren't Italian. He like meets a non-Italian woman for the first time. He's like, "Oh, so you're not yelling at me constantly? This is great.
You're not chasing me around with a rolling pin. This is spectacular."
Whilst it's certainly true that Pacino we are told, has not treated Leon well, I'm not sure the movie asks us to condone that. In fact, it goes to great lengths to have Leon tell us this is unacceptable. And Pacino offers us, like, oh, I'm under a lot of stress, and yes, it's kind of, okay, I'm sorry for it. It asks us to understand his mindset, but
she doesn't forgive him. They don't get back together.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. She's in this, every scene she's in, she has this like immense dignity, right? I switch pronouns at some point. But like,
I mean, haven't we all?
Yeah.
And applying the test of would I want to play any of these roles, I'd be interested to play the head teller. I'd be interested to play Leon. That would be a challenge.
I genuinely, there are some like fantastic monologues that Leon gets.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
It's time for the stage play.
No,
I almost don't want to spoil them because I want the audience to watch them.
I feel like misogyny is not a simple answer here because it's a story about a misogynist for sure. In a misogynist society. It's also got a lot of women in it who are like quite capable. Like I think a lot about the chief teller. Just kind of not just
but
like,
she's not a shrew. She's not a bitch.
No.
She's just at work.
There's an interesting moment we didn't pick up on where it's only the tellers talking to each other, specifically talking about because the manager at one point swears and then comes to apologize for it. And we get this moment where the tellers debate amongst themselves about whether this is like a silly old-fashioned thing to apologize for swearing in front of the women. And one of them is like, well, I'm a Christian and my ears aren't garbage cans. And the other ones are just like, oh, come off it. You're being silly. So they are kind of well drawn as characters.
Yeah. I don't know. Where does this leave us?
Tough to say. I think it's low.
To me, tracks very much with like the sort of like new Hollywood filmmaking where it's like the people are like, they are fully drawn. They are not like caricatures of women, and they are real characters who are filmed as real people in like realistic ways, but like the men making the movie maybe not like the most incredible sensitive feminists ever lived.
I agree with that. On that basis, I want to say something like a 3 or a 4 maybe.
I could go 3. I think it's fairly low. Yeah.
Dev?
Hey, I listen to women on these kind of topics.
Mattie?
Yeah, I think a 3 sounds right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that means it's not the best film.
Almost every time you've ever asked me.
It's not the best film we've ever seen, but it's very, very close because that gives it a total score of 7.
That is pretty fantastic.
That puts it on the level with Shots in Three-Quarter Time, the film How to Steal the World. I mean, it's very Born Supremacy. It's very, very rare to get all the way down there. It's on a par with the best Bond film, which was View to a Kill.
Wow.
But the best film we've ever seen so far is still the Quiller Memorandum, which is down on 5. So very, very
tracks.
close.
I assume View to a Kill gets a 0 because of Grace Jones's presence. Just like a gravity sink for misogyny.
Yeah.
We loved that movie, actually.
That movie rocks ass and
that movie fucking rules.
Fucks. I love that movie.
Find the computer indispensable.
It gets the bronze medal.
Yeah.
Born Identity on 6 is still silver medal and has been for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I mean, the Born Identity was fucking great.
But
Genuinely.
it's up there on the podium. This is tied for 3rd place in terms of best films you've ever seen. I think well deserved.
I reckon so.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, do we have any sort of like rosettes, any crosses, any medals we want to award? I don't think
the
so.
Oscar for best screenplay, apparently.
Hell yeah. Fucking okay.
Pinning that to my suit jacket.
That's
I believe the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor went to Chris Sarandon for Leon Shermer as well.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, you know what?
Okay, I'm not mad about that. All right.
But in any case,
Critical support.
This was the second movie he was ever in. Not to like, I mean, he did a bunch of theater beforehand, so it's not like he just like showed up, but still.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I'm seeing it with
That's Dog Afternoon.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon if you want to subscribe to that. It's a good time. We just did The Wicker Man, the 1973 movie with Edward Woodward. It's a great episode. I'm not sure what the next bonus episode is. We'll figure that out.
Bonus
I think it's
is
my
Abby's. Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
I've got a couple suggestions.
Okay,
nice.
Well, we will figure that out. Subscribe to the Patreon. And most importantly, if the people want more Mattie Lubchansky, where can they find more Mattie?
That's an incredible question, November. You can find me on the No Gods, No Mayors podcast with November here and our friend Riley, who we will get to transition eventually.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on this pod before.
Yeah, friend of the show, Riley. We'll get him. We'll get him, girls.
Oh, we'll fucking get him.
We'll
get me in.
Riley,
I can get him. I swear to God.
If you're listening, Riley, we'll get you. And then you can also, I have a book coming out this July that is now available for pre-order. If you go to simplicitybook.xyz, it'll give you a link to buy it at your local bookstore or wherever fine books are sold. And I recommend buying it because I need people to buy it or I'll starve to death.
Buy the book.
That's pretty reasonable. That'll be in the doobly-doo.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Kill James Bond. The next episode in 2 weeks' time on the free feed is Inside Man. But if that is simply too long for you to wait, then you can head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/killjamesbond, all one word, and sign up today for as little as £5 a month. The next bonus episode next week will be The Devil's Advocate with AJ Diddy from motherfucking the worst of all possible worlds, baby. It's gonna be good as all hell. I'm saying that we've already recorded it when I'm recording this, so it is good. I remember it. It was pretty good. And speaking, of course, of our beautiful patrons, we would be nothing without our £15 and above patrons, and those are Gilded Dragon, Lo Bjornsdotter, Candy Fox, Freya Aloysius, Gustavo Lira, Elspeth Hunt, Jordan Gammy, Nick Boris, Mike Berg, Hannah Oberhard, Fucked Up in the Crib, Blaine Balala, shut up, dude, George Rohack, Canada will remember Devon's promise, He Better Had, Drone Lover, Yarek, Melody, Moro Gonzalez, Live Free or Cry, a new uncle who's learning card tricks, Labor Delenda S, Library Hitman, Top O, Trip, Mexican Mainhard, Beef Crime, Jack Drummond, Kit Devine wrote a book called Alphas, Mia, Steve Widishin, Staz, Science Daddy, Anne Hedonia, Meg Victoria Roth, Lyndon Rose, Kakoden, Stay Soft or Die Hard, Claire, Forrest L. Novell, Uesian Huge Suit, King Jill, Lenina Skayhawk 2, Ignore all previous instructions, Molly Powerslide, Silly Canadian Creature, Lady Houndstooth, Whitney Wolverine, CJ the Tiger, Loretta Mazurf, Arthur Sex Crimes, A Trans Robot, Alex, The Crimson Paw, Ash, Saturday's Claire, Robert De Niro in Heat, Claire Baker, Cayenne Belladonna is still herself despite all, truly. Hell, Annie Ruby, Olivia Arts Modular Duos, Ubu Akira, Arizona Frog Strangler, Penile Sparing Vaginoplasty. Hey, I mentioned that Commander Freddy, April, Professional Knife Girl, Palpable Pips, Lady Ariane, Rope Trick, Clarification, Brona, Noblesse Oblahai, Casquatch, Julia Coke, Sengshen, Alex, Thuggencrantz and Goonenstern, Liz and Ash in Florida, Clairvoyance, Woolscott, Isopod Gal, John 2089, Violet Cyber, Wolfie is Normal, Al Irving, Philippa Smith, Robert Greensmith, Loz Pycock, Gotta Get /hits for the bit/bits, Pandora, Katarina Hex, Misidentified Lemon being dragged away by 30 rats, Emily, Queen of Sloths, Carriad, Josh Simmons, Mistress Angela, A-List, Zoe Shepherd, Finn Ross, Talkative Tiger, Turfs Eat Shit and Die Alone, Lauren Baston, Charlotte with a D, Cassandra, and also starring Abigail. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Yeah, I mean, Children's Bond is November, Devon, Abigail. Our producer is the wonderful Miss Nate Bethay. Our podcast art's by John DeLuca. And our website's by Tom Allen. And I'll see you next time. What? Kill him. Kill him. Parody, non-actionable.